Luke chapter 12, verses 13 through 21. Luke 12, 13 through 21. Someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." Jesus replied, "Man, who appointed me a judge or an arbiter between you?" Then he said to them, "Watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." And he told them this parable. The ground of a certain rich man produced a good crop. He thought to himself, "What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops." Then he said, "This is what I'll do. I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I will store all my grain and my goods. And I'll say to myself, you have plenty of good things laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry." But God said to him, "You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? This is how it will be with anyone who stores up things for himself, but is not rich toward God." May the Lord add His blessing to the reading of His Word. Right now, I want you to do me a favor and close your eyes. Everyone, close your eyes. And I want you to imagine the good life. In your mind, what is the good life? What does it look like? What does it look like to finally have reached your ideal life? You can open your eyes. Do you picture life without having to work? Do you imagine having enough money that you don't have to spend time working, but rather spend time doing the things you enjoy? Perhaps for some of us, the good life is having so much money that you can spend the rest of your life traveling the world. That's the good life. You can visit and explore different cultures, meet different people, taste different food, and witness nature's wonders. Or if you're not the adventuresome sort, perhaps for you, the good life is having so much money that you can spend the rest of your life on your hobbies. You can spend time gardening, playing sports, driving fast cars, spending time with friends, lounging at a coffee shop and reading a good book. You don't have to just wait for the weekend to do these things. You can do them anytime you want. Or perhaps you envision living and retiring on a beach on some tropical island, lounging all day, getting pampered, sipping margaritas underneath a cabana. In fact, I heard that in Thailand you can buy an hour of massage for less than $5. So you can spend the whole day getting a massage. Well, to all these different scenarios I painted for you, if this was your life, Jesus would call you a fool. He would call you a fool for wasting your life. I now want you to imagine with me, lying on your deathbed, wondering when will be your last breath. Few thoughts are more devastating in that hour than the sudden realization, what have I done with my life? Few thoughts are more terrifying than the realization, I have wasted this life God has given me. We have one chance to live our lives. We only get one shot. And what a shame it would be if in the end you realize your life was of no significance and substance. What a shame it would be if in the end you realize that all your life you pursued the wrong things and pursued the wrong dreams. Such a terrifying and shameful end explains why Jesus gives us such a stern and powerful, urgent warning. He desires none of you to waste your life. There is nothing worse than a wasted life. And so for the first and only time in Luke's gospel, in fact, he issues this warning in verse 15, watch out, be on your guard. Watch out, be on your guard. How can we waste our life? There are many ways we can waste our life. But the one insidious sin that Jesus points out here and warns us all about is the all-pervasive, timeless disease of greed. He says in verse 15, "Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." He warns us of greed. How would you define greed? The best definition I discovered was simply the lust to have more than you need. Greed is the boundless grasping after more. And behind all greed is the subtle lie, the subtle deception that this more that you desire, this more that you hope to gain will make you happy, will fulfill you. It is the lie that we need more if we want to finally have the good life. Now, when we think of greed, we tend to picture the multi-millionaire who is ruthless in doing all that he can to accumulate his wealth. That in our mind is a picture of greed. But notice how Jesus here is not addressing the rich and the famous. Notice how he makes this warning to the multitudes around him that were full of many people from different socioeconomic backgrounds. You see, greed has no prejudice. It affects the poor, the middle class, and the upper class. The poor is just as susceptible to materialism and greed as the rich. The rich man who lusts after the newest Ferrari is the same as the poor man who equally lusts for the next Camry or Accord. The rich man who lusts after the 12,000 square feet dream home is the same as the ordinary man who lusts for that 1,500 square feet condominium. What they hope to possess may differ, but the desire to possess this thing is the same. The belief that this thing will fulfill my life, will make me happy, is the same. And you only need to babysit my kids to see that greed has no age limit. 95% of my kids' fights are always over toys. This is mine. No, that is mine. And to illustrate his warning of the wasted life, Jesus tells us a powerful parable about the rich fool. A parable that comes close to home. He tells us of a farmer who had an overflowing abundance of crops. So abundant were his crops that his barns and storehouses were bursting at the seams. This is what we call a high-quality problem. And so he thinks to himself and contemplates, what can I do to best utilize these crops? And so he comes to the bright idea of tearing down his barns and building bigger ones. Now, I believe at this point a lot of us can relate to the farmer. If you've ever met with a financial planner, if you ever spent time thinking about how to best invest your money and your savings, then you can relate to the farmer's problem. You want to know how to best utilize your extra income so that your money can work for you. And so you spend much time knowing where and how to invest. After all, you won't be working forever, and you want to make sure that you're taken care of. Such thinking is similar to the farmer of Jesus' parable. Now, is there anything wrong with this? Is there anything wrong with wanting to know how to best be a good steward of your finances? Of course not.